Okay, guys. Wow, wow, wow. What a session have we got for you today. Lior is a prominent member of our community for quite a while. Yeah, he approached me about delivering a session. I love what Lior is doing. Lior has been doing data science for the better part of a decade at companies such as Reviews and Tastewise. Tastewise are early adopters of generative AI technology, and Leo is head of data science there. We have the benefit of hearing about a proper, full-blown RAG implementation, but not only that, we'll also get some tips and tricks about image generation at the end. Personally, I'm very excited for the session, even though I've already seen it once. Leo, take it away.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's begin. That's my family. That's basically me. My experience is mostly with NLP and computer vision. I did my bachelor's and master's in electrical engineering. Really love my work to code, playing the drums like it's written for the soul. By the way, there is this QR code. You'll have it also in the end. You can find me on LinkedIn. So instead, I'm a head of data science. That's like part of my team right now. My team is mostly with data scientists, data engineers, and we also have a dedicated team for like a tagging specialist team that are responsible for helping us evaluating our models, AI models, and creating train set and so on. I've been doing it at Tastewise for more than 5 years, right from the beginning. Yeah, and I'll share with you a few interesting things, hopefully. So that's basically the agenda for today. I'll start by saying a few words about Tastewise, presenting us, what we do, what we're trying to do, a bit about our clients and use cases. Then I'll move on to speaking about HGPT, which is our chatbot. Again, I'll go over the pipeline, some architecture. Then we'll go over a few case studies that we came through developing the HGPT. And I'll share with you some interesting food and beverage images that we are generating for our content agency. Enjoy it. So as been said, we are early adopters of generative AI. I think it was around October 2022 when one of my data scientists came to me and started to speak with me about chatbot, that we need to have some kind of a chatbot at Tastewise for our product. It was a very weird moment. It was really clear that he drank something or smoked something, because this is not something can be done at October 22. So that was the point where there was no point. That was it. And then by December 2022, 2 months after, ChatGPT released, OpenAI, sorry, released ChatGPT, and it was mind-blowing. And we realized there is something happens, and we need to be there somehow. And by February 2023, we had the Gen AI hackathon at Tastewise, that we basically made a decision that by the end of the hackathon, we will have something working. Okay, we didn't know exactly what it will be, but again, it was clear for us that we must use generative AI, because being cutting edge startup is like part of our DNA. And by the end of the hackathon, we had something. By March, we had the first version of TasteGPT in production already. It was not, the greatest, but it was something that began, and we started to understand what we wanted it to actually be. And by June 2023, we had the Tastewise Summit, which was again our goal to launch the second version of TasteGPT, and we made it. And it was a huge change. It really affected the business, the way we speak about Tastewise, the way our users are using our product, and we are constantly working on improving it. I must say it was like a real teamwork. Like it began with the CEO, moved forward to the product, like everyone were involved. Sales, marketing, design, everyone helped us through this journey. And yeah, let's speak a bit about Tastewise, like what we actually do. So basically, the idea of Tastewise is that trend is something that is happening so much in food and beverage. Okay, I mean, you can just go to, to the closest supermarket, go to the dairies area, and you'll see so many new products, okay? And then you can go there again like a month after or a year after, and you'll see like brand new product that you never saw before. And basically, that's the idea of Tastewise. We want to understand what's the product that our clients needs to develop. Okay, what should be the next product? What are the ingredients they should add to their product? And what should be the messaging? Okay, like should you speak about the fact that this product is healthy, or maybe about the fact that it will make you, I don't know, fit, or it's sustainable or something. This is something very useful and insightful for our users. What should be the next trendy cooking method? Okay, so many questions that we're answering. You can find among our users, this is like a partial list of them. Nestle, Kraft Heinz, like the biggest food and beverage companies, they are just using our platform on a daily basis to create the next products, the next campaign messages, and this is what we basically do. Now, let's just, let's think about food and beverage in our own private life. So, like, we all eat, in the end of the day, and like just think about it, all the different interactions that you have with the food and beverage. Okay, so whether it's like having lunch with your colleague at work, okay, maybe there is a specific diet that you started to to use to create. Maybe in the evening you order food from Uber Eats or Wolt or whatever, and you decide which dish you should order based on so many parameters, like the name of the dish, like the rating, right? The pictures, so many things. You go out to the supermarket with your children and you make decisions, so many decisions. Which product should you pick? So this is like a huge part of our life, and creating the new product, the next product is not like, something that you just pick up from your mind. It must be based on data. And Tastewise collect huge amounts of data. And the idea basically was, let's take a generative AI and let's see how we can use it based on our data. Okay, we have, again, huge amounts of data and AI models behind the scenes, and they will help us with that. Tastewise is basically the first food tech company in the world that started to use generative AI. And again, as I said, there was a huge buzz around ChatGPT since the moment OpenAI released it. And the adoption was crazy, and everything made it clear that this is something we must start use yesterday in our product. So the idea, or the motivation, should I say, was basically this concept. Okay, we will have a chat, like a taste. Okay, I won't spoil it, but we will have something kind of a chatbot that our users will be able to just simply write their question. We will take them to the relevant area in our product, okay, in our website, in the Tastewise website. But in addition, we will also write a kind of a bottom line. Okay, like we went over through all Tastewise data based on the user question, and these are the insights. Okay, if you want additional info, just click on the link, and you can see it in the right relevant page using the right relevant filters and queries, and deeper your research. So again, Tastewise plus GPT, we came up with TasteGPT. Okay, this is a great point to emphasize the fact that TasteGPT is not just ChatGPT. Like, you can go to ChatGPT, ask it a few questions about food, it won't give you the right answers. Okay, the trends. It won't use all the internal AI models that Tastewise has been developing for years already. Now let's see a live demo. Okay, I will go to the Tastewise platform. This is basically how one of our pages look like. And we have TasteGPT on the corner, okay? And we provide a few example questions, but basically you can write your own, and that's like the idea. So I'll write my own question. What are the top rising dishes to have with Guinness? Okay, so now basically TasteGPT is doing its magic, understand the question, okay, we'll translate it to an API request specifically for the Tastewise platform, and it will receive all the relevant data from our databases, and that's like the final answer, okay? It's all written like, you know, very short, very actionable, and also there is like a link, you can click on it and see additional info. Sometimes it will also add an example that you can actually see, maybe from social, maybe from recipes or menu items. And that's basically the idea. Okay, this is what I'll be speaking about. Okay, make it full, great. So requirements from TasteGPT. This is like the requirements that we defined in the beginning. So first of all, it must be intuitive, right? If you need to ask TasteGPT questions based on how Tastewise is expecting you to ask, it won't work. Like basically users won't use it. And that was like, again, the goal, to create much more engagement. It must be accurate. If you'll get results that are not accurate, not relevant to what you just asked, again, people will simply stop using it. It must bring insights fast, okay? If asking TasteGPT a question and getting the answer will take you the same amount of time it will take you to do it on your own, then it's not relevant. And again, I will stop using it. So I really hope our users won't use it this way. It must continue learning all the time. It means that we need somehow to go over logs, to go over questions that our users ask, okay? And to keep improving it constantly, always. It must be ahead of our users, of their expectations. It must be better than what they expect it to be. And the last one is, of course, it must be secured, right? If our users will even think that there is a chance that TasteGPT will use their information and will share it with OpenAI or anyone else, then it won't work. They won't use it. So again, these are the basic requirements that we defined for ourselves for TasteGPT. Now we can go over basically the architecture, okay? So this is basically how TasteGPT is built in a very high level, okay? We have the user should ask a question, again, totally natural question, no patterns, no expectations, however, they will just do it. Then it will enter TasteGPT. TasteGPT needs to understand the question and to translate it somehow to a JSON, right? A way to interact with the Tastewise platform. Again, like this is the data. This is like the real goal, okay? TasteGPT, it's only a tool to interact with our data, with our AI models. So once we send the JSON into our platform, then our platform returns the data, again, the relevant data based on the user question. Then TasteGPT will go over the data, will go over the question, and will send back the final answer. That's basically how it should work, okay? Now, TasteGPT is actually built of two parts, okay? The first part is the navigator. So the navigator receives the user question, and the first thing it will do is to ask itself, is it a new question? Is it a follow-up? Like, was there a previous question that we need to take into account now? Okay. And if it's a follow-up question, then we will take the previous one and the last one, and we will generate a brand new question. I will show how it works in a few slides. And then we will move to the next part, which is like selecting the relevant page. Again, in Tastewise, in our platform, we have multiple pages. Each one of them will give you answers for different use cases or from different angles. And this is what should be decided in this part, okay? If it's a brand new question, we will skip this part, like the generate new question part, okay? Once we understand to which page we should navigate to, then we need to understand what's the relevant functionality for this page, okay? So just imagine that each page comes with its own unique functionality. Okay, functionality, I can use an example from Google, for example. So when you go to Google search, you can search in the query, like you have a term that you need to enter in the query. But then you also have a few filters, right? You can filter by date. You can filter by file type or any other filter. And you can also sort, right? You can sort by relevancy. You can sort by date, by whatever, okay? So one of our pages, of Tastewise pages, comes with its own unique functionality. Based on each functionality of the page, we should pick up the relevant prompts, okay? And then we will move forward and we will simply throw it into the Tastewise API in the JSON format. And this is how the navigator of TasteGPT works. That's like the first phase. The second phase is, so, right, we send the JSON into the platform, and now we receive the data back, okay? So we will take the relevant data, we picked it, we get it, and in addition, we will use the user question, the original question, or the generated one. We need to have it in order to get the context, right? So now we will take the two, we will send it over to the summarizer, okay? And the summarizer will take everything and will create a final answer. Basics. That's like how it works, again, in high level. So again, navigator and summarizer. Now, let's see how the mechanism of follow-up question works, okay? So basically, we have two questions. We have the previous one and we have the last one, okay? Let's go over this example. Let's say the previous question was, what are good bases for shakshuka? And the last one is, what about without tomato? So in this case, it's clear that the last question is really like a follow-up of the previous one, okay? So we will simply take the two questions and we'll generate a brand new one. What are good bases for shakshuka without tomato? So this is like a totally brand new question. No one ever asked it, or maybe they did, but for this example, I think it wasn't. And this is the new question that we'll be using, okay? Let's see another example. Again, we have two questions, previous and current. Previous was, is chorizo trending? And the last one is, what are good pairings for chorizo? So even though these two questions are speaking about chorizo, they are not follow-up one of the other, okay? So we will just pick the current question, and that's the output. This is the question that we'll be using, actually, okay? It's not generated, it's just, picking this one and taking it as our input. This is basically the follow-up question, okay? It allows us to have like an infinite memory for TasteGPT. Let's see what's the structure of the prompt, okay? So basically the idea is that we will have the user question, then we will translate the user question, like we will take the question through all our prompts, okay? Our prompts will basically create the API request, okay? Again, it's like a dedicated API request for the Tastewise platform. That's like the way we should interact with the platform. Then we will send it over to the Tastewise platform, okay? Again, very high level. Now let's see an example, okay? So let's say a user asks a question, and this is like a typical one, okay? What were the most trendy toppings for pizza among millennial moms who are foodies in California between 2022 and 2023, okay? And again, like the final API request should look like this. We should navigate to the ingredients and flavors page, one of our pages, okay? It's not really important for understanding TasteGPT. Out of all these questions, we should extract only pizza, okay? We need to filter by the location of California in the USA, okay? We support multiple markets, okay? USA is one of them, so it's also important to understand in which market we should focus. The audience filter in this example should be foodies, millennials, and moms, and the date range filter should filter by 2022 to 2023. That's basically the idea. That's the question. This is how it should look like in our API request, and that's basically what TasteGPT need to do. So the way we thought about it in the beginning was very naive and clearly was not the right way. So we thought that we will get the question from the user, and then we will have this, magnificent prompt that will just take the question and will come up, we will pick the right term to put in the query. We'll pick the right page to go to, the right filters to use, and it will just work. Okay, because generative AI and it's so simple. And then we will have it finally being sent to our platform using the API. Okay, and clearly it didn't work at all. So we realized we need to come up with a better way. So basically what we did is we separated it to many prompts. Okay, each prompt will have its own very limited responsibility. Okay, like one prompt will be responsible for understanding to which page we should navigate to. Okay, another one should be responsible only for the query. Another one will be responsible for the location filter, for the date filter, and many more. Okay, and that was the approach. Like after this stage, we will group together all the results, and then we will create the final API request. Again, that's basically the idea. Okay, and there were great advantages of working this way. Okay, so I'll just go over them. It's running in parallel. Okay, it means that you're not supposed to wait for the previous prompt to be executed. Okay, it's much easier to improve and change prompts this way. You can simply focus, let's say, on prompt 7, and you can make some changes, and it won't affect any other prompt. And you can add additional prompts, and again, it won't affect the other. So it's really easier to focus this way. If one of the prompts is failing, again, the fact that it's not working one after the other in a pipeline really helps it to not fail. Okay, we will just get an error from one of them, we will fix it, everything will be amazing and great. And it's easier to debug, right? If you have a problem with one of the prompts, you can simply disconnect all the other, focus only on this one, and it's simply easier than the previous approach. Okay, so again, having the results all grouped together, sending to the Tastewise API. And that's like the structure of a single prompt. Okay, that was like the bigger picture in high level. And now I will focus on one of them as an example. So each prompt is built, and I'm sure most of you are already like familiar with this, with some of these approaches. And so we will have the prompt role. Okay, for example, you are a chatbot programmed to interact with whatever. And then we will have multiple steps, right? And an example step will be extract terms that are valid based on the following rules, okay? And we will also have a few rules, okay? An example for a rule will be a type of diet is considered valid, yada, yada, yada. Then we will specify the output format, okay? As we saw in the previous, like in the definition of TasteGPT, it should interact with the Tastewise API through a JSON file. And so this is the output format in our case, okay? And in the end, we will also specify a list of examples, okay? An example, and you know what, I'll just show a few examples in the following slides. That's basically the prompt structure. By the way, I didn't say, but we will have hopefully enough, but we will have some time for questions in the end. So you can write them down if you have them right now. So now I will go over a few case studies, okay? And this is the first one. And the first one is related to our query, okay? So basically the idea is that our users can simply write a query in the platform, and we will find the relevant data based on the query and filters, but now we will focus only on the query. And we came up with requirements for the query, okay? And we defined valid terms and invalid terms. The valid terms, okay, basically everything that is ingredients and dishes, okay, that the user wrote in the question. Diets is valid, having said that, the word diet itself is not valid, but let's say keto is a valid term. Nutrition-related terms are valid also, and motivations. Motivations basically, like what's the reason you decided to eat pasta? Or what's the reason you decided not to cook them or whatever, okay? So terms such as the cuisine, taste, occasions are also valid. On the other hand, invalid terms are terms that are not related to food, clearly. Generic terms like dish, drink, ingredient are also invalid, okay? Again, it's just a definition, but I think you will always need to come up with clear definitions. The clearer it will be easier for you to explain to ChatGPT or any other model you work with. So going back to the prompt structure, as I said, I won't go over all of the steps once again, but let's focus on the examples part, right? Promised. So here's an example, okay? This is actually how an example will look like in the prompt, okay? Again, in the final part of the prompt, we will add a few examples. So the example in this case is input, like the user question should be, which flavors are most relevant for ice cream? And in such case, the query should contain only ice cream, okay? TasteGPT needs to ignore all the other terms and just keep ice cream, in this case, as a phrase, right? Not as two terms, but a single phrase. The entire output in such case should be like, again, the final API request should be a query ice cream, and it's in a list, so we can use multiple terms in the query. The page we should navigate to is the consumption moments, and one of the filters should have the flavors term, okay? Again, the idea is the TasteGPT will go over the question, the user question, and will pick the relevant part of it, and will send it over to the right field or functionality in the Tastewise platform. Another example will be find new health claims for coffee. In such example, the output should contain only coffee, right? The query should include only coffee. And the output entirely should look like this. Coffee in the query, we should navigate to the consumer needs page, and the value we should use for filter number 1 should be health, okay? Again, based on our definitions. And this is like a very interesting phenomenon that we came across, okay? So basically, we asked TasteGPT, which pizza toppings are emerging in London over the past 4 months? Okay, and the output was pizza for the query, which is a great output. But parsing it, right? Like when you receive the answer from GPT, you get it as a string. And again, we ask the format to be a dictionary. So we need to convert the dictionary that is being hidden inside the string. We should extract it and convert it into a dictionary, a proper dictionary, so we can use it. So while we were trying to parse it, the IDE was yelling at us. It didn't work. There was an issue. There was an error. Okay, so we simply went over the output, the GPT output in this case, and we saw that it wrote output query pizza, amazing, and right after it, there was this part attached, and we never asked GPT to do it, never. Okay, it was really like weird and a surprise for us, and interesting, very interesting. And the explanation for this output that GPT decided to write, again, on its own, is the question is about pizza toppings. We should add pizza to the query and filter by toppings. Okay, and it was amazing, amazing for us. And the reason it was amazing is that instead of using an endless amount of examples, we can simply create just, a very tiny list of examples, and to explain the idea, the broader idea of this example in a few words. So you can simply write like, this should be the output, right? And then you can like specify why we decided that pizza only should be in the query and where toppings will go to, okay? And this is like, it brings much more context to TasteGPT, and we need to keep in mind always that TasteGPT doesn't really know Tastewise platform. We are constantly trying to explain it, okay? Using the explanation inside the examples is a huge power that we realized that we can use. Now let's move on to the second case study. The second case study is related to our location filter. As I said in the beginning, Tastewise currently supports many markets, okay? We work with the US, with UK, with Brazil, Mexico, Spain, Germany, and many others, okay? So first of all, the location filter should be responsible for understanding in which market the user basically wants to focus on, okay? Secondly, let's say the user is asking a question about the US market, okay? Then we need to understand if they wish to focus on a specific area in the US, right? A specific state or a specific zip code or city. And this is basically the idea behind the location filter. Now we need to come up with a prompt that will be responsible only for this location filter, okay? As I said earlier, each prompt has its own very limited responsibility, but we have many of them. So again, the requirements. It will always start with requirements. It should filter by markets. Again, markets like the US or Germany or India or whatever. Once we understand in which market we are focusing on, okay, we will filter by state, okay? And then we can also filter by the relevant city. TasteGPT needs to be able to ignore markets that are not supported. So if the user is asking about Israel, it won't work because Tastewise doesn't support Israel yet. And it needs to overcome obstacles. Obstacles such as a California roll, for example, doesn't have anything to do with California, the state. French toast doesn't have anything to do with France. An Italian restaurant, it's just a cuisine. And this is like a kind of philosophy, idea that we need to keep in mind always, in my opinion. And ChatGPT or GPT goal, or like its goal is to satisfy the user, okay? And we always need to keep that in mind. If you will really understand that, you will understand reasons for why it may make mistakes sometimes, okay? Now, this is like one of the rules that we provided the location filter prompt, and it's really basic. And it says, check if the identified country is one of the following: UK, US, Brazil, Canada, and specifying all the markets we support. If not, ignore it and leave the country field empty, okay? And again, like a basic rule. Now let's see an example. The other question was, what's the most trending flavor for ice cream in Belgium? TasteGPT realized that this question is about Belgium, and the output was country Belgium, state and city are empty, and it's okay. And it also wrote in the explanation, again, we are using the explanation, amazing tool. It's writing, Belgium is one of the countries we support, which makes it a valid country. But as it's been written in this rule, it's clear that Belgium is not among the countries that the Tastewise support, at least not now, okay? So this is like a clear example of hallucination, okay? And we need to deal with it. And again, it comes from this place. The ChatGPT aims to satisfy the user, okay? You need to understand this. This, in many cases, may be the reason why you're getting mistakes. Again, even though you're creating a huge list of examples and you're doing everything good, still it will make mistakes, okay? Basically, the idea was that a GPT really wanted to satisfy us, okay? So once it came, it saw a country in the text, it was like, I must put it somewhere, okay? That was the idea behind it in GPT's eyes. Okay, let's go back to the prompt structure. And we have all the steps and everything, and we have the output format. Okay, and we will focus on this part. We decided that we need to help GPT somehow. So what we came up with is an additional layer. And this intermediate stage output layer will basically help GPT with, again, trying to satisfy us. Okay? It will allow it to satisfy us, but at the same time, it won't make mistakes in the end. And the idea is as follows. Basically, we will have an initial layer, okay? And within this layer, I'm basically asking TasteGPT, listen, if you find any country, any city, any state, just extract it from the text, put it here. And that's it. That's your role at this point, okay? You did it. Let's move on to the next part, to the final part, final layer, okay? In this part, what I want you to do is to, like, you already extracted country, city, state. What I want you to do now is only to pick the country or the city or the state if it's relevant. If it's relevant for Tastewise, again, based on the rules that we defined in the beginning. That's it. Now we're separating it to a new step, two steps, sorry. Okay, the initial one, just take any country, any city, no rules, just do it. Satisfy me, the user. And once you did it, just make sure it's valid in this part. Let's see how it looks like. So we have the following input. What are the most popular vegetables in soup in Beijing, China? Okay. Unfortunately, at the moment, today, we're not supporting China, but as we asked TasteGPT to do, there is this a new additional layer, the initial layer, and in this part, it took China and just put it in the country field. Same did with the city field, Beijing, and it's totally fine. Again, I want it to satisfy me, the user. But now we have the final layer, right? And in the final layer, the rules are different. I don't care if you found a city or a state. I really don't care about this part. I'm just like saying, take the previous files that you found in the question, okay? And just decide whether it's valid or not. So TasteGPT made a decision that China is an invalid country and put it in this field. Same goes with invalid city, with Beijing, right? And it was amazing. Like, we really helped GPT to help us. And that was the goal, okay? And there is also a great explanation. China is a country we do not support. Thus, Beijing is an invalid city, and China is an invalid country. Amazing. And it worked. Let's see another example. What was the top diet in Tel Aviv last year? Okay, and in the initial part, we can see the country Israel and city Tel Aviv, and in a final layer, we can see that Israel was added as an invalid country and Tel Aviv as an invalid city. Again, a great explanation, and it was a success. This is basically what I wanted to share about TasteGPT. Yeah, let's move on to Tastewise Content Agency. The content agency is basically made of generating images as well as text, okay? But I will focus in this part on the images because it's really cool. So basically, what's the opportunity? So let's say you are a food beverage company and you wish to, you came up with a new concept and you want to put it somehow in a presentation or to create a marketing campaign or whatever. And this is a very expensive process, okay? I won't go over all the steps, but like you need to pay many, many people that will be involved in this process. Eventually, for a total of 5 images, it will cost you $20K, okay? And this is something you need to do a lot. And it's not just for creating a fancy marketing campaign, on billboards. It's also for presenting something for your manager. And it takes time and it takes a lot of money. And this is like the opportunity. This is what we want to change or to improve. And everything, again, will be based on Tastewise data. The images that we have, like all the data that we have, so many of it. This is eventually where we want to be. Okay, this is like the type of images that I want to have in our product. But it didn't begin this way. Okay, it was quite embarrassing in the beginning. Okay, everything was animated and so many weird areas like connected hands and this disturbing eye and fingers, all the issues with fingers. The end became very smaller and weird stuff we can't really use in production. And it was improving. Okay, then we can see this image over here. You can see this one is like almost, it looks much more real than before, but the other were really, again, not professional at all. And also this one, I don't really know what to say about it. It was the beginning and things became to look better, okay? Sometimes even much better, but again, it was not something you can use in production. It was not stable. Again, very disturbing images, such as this one. You can actually see the chickens pattern, this weird carrot. Again, some pictures that I don't really have to say anything about. Weird hands. This is like something with mushroom. Again, it's not appealing in any way. You cannot show it to your clients. And this is like the classic example of rabbit stew. Okay, it's not something you want to share with your user. Living animals at any point, their tails, their eyes, it's very disturbing. So what we basically learned through the process, okay? I think the biggest thing you need to take out of this talk is that if you have a problem, your own problem that you wish to solve with generative AI, the only actual way to do it is by, making your hands dirty. Okay, you just need to try it yourself to come up with your own right way of doing it. And like tutorials are great, but it won't take you to your solution, to the solution you are looking for. And that's like a great parameter that I wanted to share in Midjourney. Okay, it's called chaos. It's something we're using. Let's say that our clients, they wish to get, some ideas using our generative AI features. So they will ask for a specific pizza, and you can see that they are getting, like, as you know, from Midjourney, you usually get 4 different examples, but the examples are quite the same, okay? Very similar to each other. And if you wish to create a much wider variety of examples, you can increase the chaos parameter, its value, and it will give you great different examples. And then the user can focus on one of them and maybe, deeper the investigation within this concept. And it's just a great parameter. You can find so many parameters in documentation. It's out there. Just don't be lazy and do it. And there were still weird issues with the images that we generated. Okay, you can see this one, and basically the problem with this one, I think the user asked for something like pepper cheese. Okay, and Midjourney like actually got the prompt literally. Okay, it took cheese, put some peppers on top of it, and this is clearly not what the user was asking for. Okay, it should have been like just a cheese, maybe a bit red, and maybe some small pieces of pepper, but clearly not 2 huge peppers on top of it. Same goes with shakes. Usually this is a broccoli shake, and it's improving, right? You can see that the drink is green. You can also see these little green dots, dark green dots, and it started great, but then we have like entire broccoli at the top, and this is bad. Again, not something appealing, not something your clients wish to put in their presentation or on billboards. But things started to look much better. Okay, and I really love these examples. This is clearly something, pictures that our users can use You can see it looks so good, so real. I really love the way it looks raw, right? That it's like it's clear that it's been edited somehow, like maybe some kind of a Photoshop effect, but still you can see it's real. It's not synthetic. At least it doesn't look like. And we started to play with the camera angles. Okay, it can create the pictures a much more dramatic pictures. Okay, it's like the same coffee cup, but one of them is really dramatic. You can decide which one is more dramatic on yourself by yourself. And we also are playing a lot with the cups and plates and like so many areas to tune. And we also worked on packages, okay, like giving packaging ideas for our users. So some of our packages will be transparent, other will be, they won't. And we have a nylon bag and plastic packages and glass. And you can really play with the material, with the design, with the angles, with so many things. It's amazing. Then we also played a bit with the bottles, okay? So we took a Coca-Cola plastic bottle and we tried to change it into glass bottle, change its colors. You can see that the logo is being, like, we kept the logo. This is not an easy challenge. Same goes with the wine bottles and sauces. And it basically brings me to the bottom line, this talk. As I said before, you can find so many great tutorials out there in LinkedIn, in Medium, like 50 top prompts for product managers, for SEO, for whatever, and it's all great. But if you really want to have a generative AI in your product, the only right way, again, from my perspective, in my opinion, is just to do it. Just learn it, learn the basics, and start from this point, and just just do it. And yeah, just do it. Right. Yeah, that's basically it. Again, you can see the QR code. You can scan it and find me on LinkedIn or any other platform. No, I'm kidding, just LinkedIn. We are constantly looking for great people at Tastewise, so feel free to check our website and and again, let's speak. And I think this is a great time for questions, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, before anybody but drops off, I want to say terrific lecture. Lots of questions in the Q&A kind of indicate how good the lecture was. As always, thank you for joining. If anybody wants to present an interesting topic, let us know. As always, the recording will be available on our YouTube, which I also shared the link in the Q&A answers. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, and anybody who's not staying for the Q&A, see you again in 2 weeks from now. We'll be hosting Shai Alon from Orca Security. Shai will also be discussing their entire pipeline, which revolves around AI search, for a very interesting talk. Have a great weekend. Hi. If you enjoyed this talk or any other talk on our YouTube channel, please consider to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. Register for the meetup group. We do sessions bi-monthly. We also make an effort to upload them to YouTube. So if you'll be subscribed, you'll always get a notification on that.